Welcome to Arch and Towers. In between putting the PinkUn together, this is myself, Chris Lakey, back for that difficult second series after the transfer deadline day shenanigans of yesterday. And David Freezer, he's been at Colney today with Paddy Davitt talking to Daniel Farker about all things Norwich City, all things Brentford away, and all things silly injuries.
Yeah.
Where do we start on this, Dawn? Should we go silly injuries?
It's got to go Evo first, really, isn't it?
It's got a very serious side to it, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. I mean, obviously everyone's been talking about the nightmare scenario of Ivo Pinto getting injured with no other obvious right back in the squad.
By getting out of his car. We ought to make that clear. He got out of his car, did his knee.
Daniel almost laughed about it, but then realised it's not really a laughing situation.
No.
Getting out of his car, his tweets something in his knee. Not serious, but Daniel did say that at first they were worried that it was serious, so quite a relief that he's only going to be out for a week, touch wood. Said that he should be back in time for Middlesbrough, so
he'll have his MOT during that time, no doubt, and
yeah,
all will be well. Quick oil change, he'll be back in business.
And immediately the question then was, well, who plays right back then?
it segues beautifully into this. I should have bought a right back. We told you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same initials, DF. Dear Daniel Farker. What would you do?
Well, he hasn't got many options. He mentioned that Alex Tessie can play there, Harrison Reed. I mean,
I'm balking at these already.
I wouldn't be massively surprised if Marco Stiepermann got stuck out there, given that we don't really know which position he properly plays.
No.
But, he mentioned Marley Watkins as well, although he's obviously not quite been in the team at the moment. So who he will actually play there, I'm not sure. I think I'd put my money on Harrison Reed, given that him and Alex Tetty weren't a resounding success together in the middle of midfield in the defeat to Sheffield United last week. I think Harrison could probably just about manage it. He's tenacious, he's got a little bit of pace, and I suppose in that situation where it's an emergency right back, you just tell them not to worry too much about attacking, you just defend, don't you?
Yeah. The one thing, Marley Watkins, I feel a bit sorry the last time I saw him, he was up front. And Harrison Reed, now I've been reading Robin Sainty's column. This is not a blatant plug for his column in tomorrow's PinkUn, but it is. It is a plug. But he pointed out that he thought there was a lot of effort coming from Marley Watkins and probably flattered to deceive. And even against Chelsea, when he had a good game, I thought, what did he do? There's a lot of tiny little passes, a lot of busy, but I don't see him being able to sit on a right side of a defence and defend. He doesn't look that sort of player to me. I just can't.
No, but then neither did Yannick Wildschut, and he was having to play there at the start of the season.
Yeah, but I think Wildschut did was more suited to do it because there he was down the right hand side, whereas Reed is left, right, forward, backwards. It's every direction with him, but going nowhere very fast. I think.
Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah, I think the thing with Marley is there's no obvious quality. Is that if you look at Mario?
No, I'm saying Reed. I'm saying sorry.
Sorry, you confused me.
Sorry, Reed. Yeah. well, because I'm doing my impersonation of a footballer, which isn't very good. Sorry.
Reed. Yeah. Equally, actually, the point probably stands. The obvious quality. I mean, he's not a playmaker, and he's not your Alex Tetty style battling defensive midfielder, is he? There's, you don't stay in Southampton's academy until you're 22 unless you've got something about you. And the one thing that he has got is tenacity. So if you stick him on that right, tell him to hold his position, I think he'll do
the key, isn't it? Holding your position. Yeah. I would imagine you ask fans as they're going into Griffin Park tomorrow what they want to see there. There'll be quite a few opinions.
Yeah.
But I think without the right back, a sort of dedicated right back, you're tied into a certain formation. Because you don't want to put a non-right back into a specific right back position. So maybe you've got Valencia and Ashley Young at Manchester United are wingers who are playing as wing backs, not full backs. So there is a big difference, I think, between being a right back and a dedicated position, or being a wing back, which is a bit more of a somewhere down the right side.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm
making football sound really easy here, but this is why I'm not a football manager.
Football should be easy, shouldn't it? The immediate follow-up, obviously, from Paddy was, so do you need to bring in a right back? Which is what everyone's been talking about. Would they have played Russell Martin there? Probably not anyway. I think we all know that his days as a right back were numbered anyway.
But he could do the job, probably.
He could have done the job. I mean, back in the day, obviously, Russ was the Norfolk Cafu, wasn't he? He would have done the job at right back, no problems at all. But that begs the question. And Daniel basically said that, yes, clearly it's an area of the squad that they need to invest in, but they only want to bring in someone of sufficient quality. And the problem that they seem to have had is that Ivo Pinto is very much the first choice. He's the captain. You know he's going to be starting if he's fit. So persuading someone to come in and almost be cover for Ivo isn't necessarily straightforward, is basically his argument.
Well, I've been waiting for this one for this all afternoon, really, because Ivo Pinto's had a bit of bad luck, but there are others who've had silliness thrown upon them when it comes to injuries, and I've got a couple here, and one or two of them have had me crying this afternoon. Richard Wright, we all remember him, the Ipswich goalkeeper who hardly ever played after he left Ipswich. He was with Everton, went to Chelsea for an FA Cup replay in 2006, walked in the warm-up, walked to the penalty area, and there was a big sign saying, "Do not practice in the goal mouth." He tripped over it, injured himself, missed the game. Only Richard Wright, I think. Dave Besant, him of the dropping a bottle of salad cream on his foot.
Yeah. Salad cream. I don't think they make that anymore, do they?
Yes, they
Great
do.
stuff. Do they?
Do.
Oh,
I hope so.
They did stop it at all.
I know that all this stuff in my cupboard is well out of date. Goalkeepers, they're terrible at this. David James pulled a muscle in his back reaching for the TV remote, but apparently Carlo Cudicini, David Seaman also did the same thing.
Okay.
Rio Robbie King as
Ferdinand did his knee, didn't he? Like putting his feet up in front of the TV.
I think he had his feet up on a stool for so long, or the coffee table for so long. Once he moved, a tendon went.
Game of Thrones
But
binging.
this is the very worst. This is quite horrible. This. So what is it? 10-6. I hope you're not having your fish and chips on a Friday. Darius Vassell, remember him? Ex-Aston Villa in England. He picked up an infection which meant part of his toenail had to be removed because he performed DIY surgery. He was trying to drain a blood blister on his foot with a power drill.
Well,
I mean, you are having a laugh, Darius, are you not? So I think Evo's come out of that quite well.
Yeah, we tried to find out what car he's got, if there's a line there, but we couldn't quite get it. We did ask whether it was a German-engineered car, but we didn't get an answer. James Blake asks, do you think any of the new signings will start?
Thank you, James. Saved me a question there. That was the next one. Brilliant work.
Yeah, so it sounds like at best they're going to be on the bench. Onel Hernandez, of course, Dennis Shrabani.
Nice one.
And
Moritz Leitner.
So Daniel said that Leitner and Hernandez have both had their international clearance through. Shrabani hadn't when we were at the presser earlier, but they were expecting it to come through within a few hours. In terms of fitness-wise, they're all kind of up to speed because in Germany they've had the winter break, so they almost have like a bit of a mini pre-season. They've been playing friendlies. They're all fit, able to play if Daniel and the physios decide that's okay when in the morning. It sounds like they'll be travelling with the squad as long as everything's okay. It's just whether you decide to throw people in who today was basically their first proper training session with the squad. So do you throw them into a championship game?
Yeah, you see, people say, they probably haven't had time to sort of simulate themselves into the team. On the other hand, Brentford haven't scouted them. Brentford won't know what they're like.
This is very true.
So, it might be a surprise for everyone. And if you throw in an unknown quantity, I mean, they're obviously decent footballers, so you throw them in, might well be just a surprise for the opposition too, and you can throw them off guard. They don't know what's coming at them.
Well, Brentford have been good at that trick themselves because their scouting has been very impressive in recent years, really. I mean, they're run by owned by Matthew Benham, who was involved with Moneyball, wasn't he? So he's a big statistics man.
I was going to say, I can't remember the book I read, but oh my word, the book I read full of statistics, and the way they work is fantastic, isn't it? It's a brilliant way of working, but it does put the old-fashioned scout out of business almost, and you rely on the stats in front of you. Mm-hmm. It's probably for another day. It's a great discussion, but how to scout properly.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But Brentford are that club. I mean, and Mark Warburton doing his time there. So
it sounds like, to sum it up, basically, they could be available, but my money would be that maybe a couple of them on the bench. I mean, Leitner, I don't think was even in full team training today, so he may
probably
be
the one
too
who's
soon for
not up
him.
to speed.
Yeah, because he's not been involved for Augsburg as well, so he may take a little bit of time. And number 10 position, you've got James Maddison there, you've got Vrancic as backup, so. Not Todd Cantwell though.
You beat me to it because I was going to try and catch you out on the Dutch team.
Right.
Yeah. Fortuna who?
Sittard.
Nice one. Rehearsals didn't go well on that one, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Doug Cantwell. Now, we have chatted about the possibility of him having a loan move. We thought Shrewsbury... no, we didn't. This came out of the blue, didn't it, Fortuna Sittard?
Oh, very much so, yeah. I mean, it's an intriguing one. It can't be completely random. There's something about it that makes me wonder if Norwich have just got a little bit of business to come with.
Well, the first thing you did was look to see who their right back was, didn't you?
Yeah,
and then found out he was German.
Yes,
So,
with a little bit of
Holmes.
help from some of the guys out in social media.
Yeah, I think.
But they're top of the second division in Holland, looking good for a promotion push. We all know that Holland is renowned for highly technical players, and I heard Steve McLaren talk a bit about his time with Twente when the players were very tactically astute, and he almost said that being a head coach there was so much easier than it was in England. So I think the quality of coaching that these guys get in Holland from a young age is very good. And from watching quite a bit of Todd in recent years, I mean, he was nominated for Premier League 2 Player of the Year at the end of last season. Since a very young age, has been talked about at Norwich City as being sort of the star academy talent. Deeren boy, which is nice. Made his debut at Chelsea recently. An outfield player from Norfolk isn't something that we've had too much of. I think the last one was Rossi Jarvis, so we're probably going back 10 years or so, something like that. So, yeah, this is one that you can sort of see the logic in it. There's not going to be much pressure on him. No one's going to be watching him too much, but it could just help him to sort of fine-tune the skills that he very clearly has. I mean, I watched him on Monday, the under-23s game, and the winner he scored, 90th minute winner against Bournemouth, and it was a real grind of a game. They had a holding midfielder who sat deep, and that really stopped Todd from getting the space on the edge of the box. But as things got a little bit stretched towards the end, Louis McIntosh just played Todd in, and finally he got a bit of space on the edge of the area, and all of a sudden there was 6 Bournemouth players converging on him. They all realised, this is what we were trying to avoid. He basically had one chance to score that goal, and he took it. So that's a good sign. So
See
how he
his
gets on.
first move. We're thinking, you talk about lads like Maddison who came from somewhere else to Norwich, Coventry to Norwich, then went out on loan. But this is Todd Cantwell, who's a local lad, so it's his first move away from Norwich. But a big one. It's not as if he's elsewhere in the country. He's going overseas. He'll probably do what Steve McLaren did and pick up a very strong accent. Who knows?
With that wonderful hair already.
Just don't give him an umbrella. I think I've been quite impressed with what Norwich have done in the way they work so very hard with the loan players now. Neil Adams makes sure he's really on top of it all. So, you've got to trust them on this one. I would imagine that's a really good decision. I think that will pay off simply because they look to have got the art of this, where the placement art working.
Yeah.
It's not like us lot who go out on work experience when we're kids and end up in the Out West for a week or so,
Absolutely, yeah. BT call centre for me. That was great fun. I applied to come to the EDP and didn't get it.
Here we go.
Thanks.
You get personal.
Thanks, Taberham High.
Get angry.
It's up in the air with Todd, isn't it? If you look at the squad at the moment, obviously you've got Maddison, who's first pick at number 10. Wes Houlihan still around, although we expect him to not be at the club beyond the summer. Once his 10 seasons are up, and whether there'll be a testimonial or not, we'll see. Mario Vrancic clearly can pay there, and Moritz Leitner's just come in. So if he performs well, clearly he's someone. Daniel was asked today if there's a possibility of a permanent signing. He didn't want to sort of look too far ahead because clearly Leitner's career has gone off track at the moment, so it's just about getting him playing football and then seeing where it goes, although Daniel did hint at a possibility. So with all those players in the mix, Todd is really going to have to do well at this loan. Once it's confirmed, it hasn't actually been confirmed yet, but it looks very likely that he's going to, because he posted a picture on Instagram which was swiftly deleted at Cologne Airport, so he kind of gave it away a little bit there. So for instance, if Maddison goes, Wes is gone, Leitner doesn't work out, then you've perhaps got a vacancy. If you look at it from the other direction, if Maddison's still here, if Vrancic will be here, Leitner does well, then Todd is probably looking at a Shrewsbury loan, a League One loan to fine tune him, because he's 20 next month, so he's still got a bit of time on his side. I'd have thought a new contract is probably not too far away either.
Yeah, they do go hand in hand nowadays, don't they? And I suppose we'll have a quick word about Marcus Edwards as well, another young man with lots of potential, but
Well, Neil Henderson's brought him up here.
Great.
Just say hello to John Davey as well, watching from Chicago.
Oh,
Chicago.
excellent.
That's terrible.
Is how you say that? It was really, hello, John in
I
Chicago.
thought I'd give it a go.
Yeah.
Neil Henderson, do you think Edwards' attitude will improve at Norwich? Because if he does, we could have a heck of a lone player on our hands. Slight edit there. This is Tottenham loanee Marcus Edwards, of course. Daniel was quite hard on it today.
Yeah, he just sounded it. Yeah.
Missed the Sheffield United game because he arrived with a bit of a back problem. Has trained this week and has been better, but Daniel has basically echoed what Maurizio Pochettino said when he signed him, that very, very talented with the ball, clearly natural ability, but is he going to work hard off the ball? I mean, we haven't seen him yet, so it's difficult for us to judge it, isn't it? But Daniel was pretty hard on him today.
Did he not say, though, that if he comes through the door, Norwich City will have a lot of fun with him?
A lot of
what
fun,
a great attitude. I mean, if that's what he's saying, basically, if he knuckles down and does what we ask of him, and does the right thing to make himself a proper footballer, then I think he also said he could be the best in the Championship.
He said he could be one of the best players in the Championship. Yeah, I mean,
it's quite a thing.
We sort of got used to Daniel's terminology a little bit now, and he's quite often said it's about we will take them to the door. They've got to walk through the door. He's used it with several players now, and with Edwards, he said that with Tottenham, the brilliant squad that Tottenham have got, the very high-level squad that Tottenham have got, he is in that squad one of the best players with the ball. So if he can prove that he can do the business in the Championship off the ball, then he has the potential to be one of the best players in the Championship, which, may never happen. There's lots of players like that, aren't there, who you think Scotty Parker was in that McDonald's advert when he's 10 years old doing all the wonderful flicks, and
well, the guy who does the ball juggling at half time sometimes in various shows, not seen him playing league football
exactly.
yet.
You have to have a bit of Robbie Savage about you as well, unfortunately, don't you? You have to be able to work.
Oh Lord, do you?
Let's go Andrew Crofts instead then.
Top man. 2 goals at Barnsley will never be beaten. Can we just make sure that we haven't missed out any team news? I can't think. Tom Tribble, was he?
Tom Tribble has missed last couple of games with a back injury. He's back in training and in contention for tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it kind of depends on Mario Vrancic. For those of you on Instagram who follow Mario, he got a bit of a gash to his shin, which he blamed on Josh Murphy.
Not a car
so
or
it's
anything.
Obviously not a car on this occasion, I don't think. I don't think Josh hit him with his car. It looks like a stud mark from training, but it's on his shin, so it looks like he maybe had a couple of stitches, but I think it'll probably be covered by a shin pad. And the sort of rhythm that Mario is in at the moment, I would have thought he'll want to play. So I'm expecting Teti and Vrancic to start tomorrow, and I think the only change will be whoever plays in place of Pinto at right back. So whether that's Reed or Stiepermann, we'll
as you
find
say,
out.
if it didn't work before,
Otherwise, for team news, Wes Houlihan has ruled out. He's got an abductor issue, but he'll be back in training on Monday. So likewise, he should be okay for Borough. So Daniel sort of said with all these issues with new players and a few injuries and stuff, it's really one where Brentford have won 5 of their last 6 in the league. I think they're unbeaten in something silly like 11 games at home as well. So he basically said, Norwich are underdogs going into this. Brentford are favourites, so he's almost approaching it in a bit of a cup
3, 4,
fashion.
5 or something places above Norwich, aren't they? So
they
should be.
They're
favourites.
in the playoff mix. Yeah, I mean clearly they won at Carrow Road just before Christmas 2-1. They looked very good that night. Romain Sawyers set up Lasavibe for both goals, and they
So
looked
did you scout the game for them?
No, I think he's sort of been on the fringes a little bit. There's a lad.
As soon as he left Norwich, you do realise he was a world-beaten footballer.
He
should never have gone.
They love him at Brentford because of his attitude, and so
I feel a bit sorry for him here. He was one of those who never really got a look in when should have done. But
he's been held back by Florian Josephzoon, which is spelt wonderfully. It's got a Z in.
Commentators say he won't be seeing a lot of the ball tonight.
Quite, but he looks decent at Carrow Road, and basically he's kept Canos out of the team. So, Brentford. It's going to be a difficult game tomorrow. Shall we have a quick look? We've got some comments coming in here. Matthew, I've got a question for you actually. Matthew R. Martin, evening Chris.
Hello.
Any players we can sign from the posh in the Russell Martin mould?
Now I know Matthew R. Martin. He's been very mischievous here. No, you can't have any of them, Matthew. That's it. That's the end of.
Okay. Not Jack Marriott. You can't pull some strings
Yeah,
with us.
tell you what, just on that subject, it's not just Jack Marriott. Marcus Maddison. I'm surprised there's not been a few more stories about him. I mean, I think if you're Peterborough aware, there are a lot of rumours, but he's quite a player. I think he's got an abrasive attitude, but he's a good player. Lots of tattoos as well, I believe.
There you go.
Whatever.
Mark.
Thank you, Matthew, by the way.
Mark Hayho says Shabani. I wondered how you pronounce that. I think that is roughly right.
Well, you could probably pronounce it how you did in two different ways. No.
Yeah.
I think Suburnian.
Well,
Sorry.
I'll give some credit to Mr. Rob Butler from Radio Norfolk here, because they have the connections for these sort of pronunciations within the BBC, and he tweeted it was, I think, off the top of my head, Shrabani. So
yeah, I think that'd be right,
that's where I've got at the
Shrabani,
moment.
but I have no prior, no reason to know that.
Could probably point out, actually, for those wondering why those three players weren't at the press conference today, it's because you probably saw from their club videos that their English isn't quite up to speed yet. So I'm sure we'll get a chance to speak to them and ask Dennis how you pronounce his surname, but just not quite yet.
Yeah.
How good is Dennis Shrabani? Craig Brown asks, and he also asks, how good is Moritz Leitner? I mean, the truth is we don't know, do we?
No, not. You can see how good he if in the previous teams, but for Championship football, Norwich City football, who knows? He's given half a dozen appearances, then we can start thinking about it. But it's very difficult to judge. But I think sorry, who was it?
It was Craig Brown.
Yeah, I think Craig. We all want to know how good he is immediately.
That's with every signing, don't you?
Yeah, you do. You really do. But I think it'd be quite exciting waiting to see him for the first time.
Yeah.
I love it when I see a play for the first time,
particularly with Leitner.
Especially the ones who come in and on their debut score. Oh wow!
Yeah,
I love that.
Mark Lieber style. What a goal that was!
Yeah, Liebfraum.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I mean, Moritz Leitner, was on the bench in a Champions League final, has Bundesliga winners medal, has played for Lazio, Dortmund. That you don't play at those clubs. He captained the Germany under-21 side. I mean, there is clearly a good player in there, but it's whether Daniel obviously had him for a little bit in the Dortmund under-23, so it's just whether he can give them that little bit of TLC to get his career back on track.
I like the way Daniel Farker says, "I know them. I know how to work with them."
Yeah, and he did point out that perhaps with Onel Hernandez as well, he wouldn't have been that bothered about coming to an English club if it hadn't have been a German coach in charge. So perhaps that's just paying off for Norwich. We'll see.
Who are you looking forward to seeing? If you had the choice of all three, the new ones, who would you choose?
Well, I guess Hernandez is going to be the most likely to get you off your seat.
Yeah, I think that. I'd love a flying winger.
I'm liking the thought of potentially on form, Josh Murphy, Maddison and Hernandez, and I think Hernandez would prefer to be on the left as well, so I think Murphy and Hernandez would probably switch quite a bit. Good. So if they're both on form, and I'd like to see a bit more width. Darren Huckabee and Darren Eady have both tweeted during the season that there's not enough width in this Norwich side, not enough crosses coming into the box, which has left Oliveira and Jerome isolated. So I'm hoping to see two proper wingers, but we'll see. Michael Bailey's beard says, where's MB? I'm afraid.
I'm really sorry. I do have to apologise. He's not here, and I'm standing in, and it's like comparing Police Academy to something proper.
And you actually shave, don't you? Whereas I don't think Michael shaved for years.
Last night, if this is Michael Bailey shaving, I can tell you I've seen Michael Bailey unshaven. It's not at all.
No, I don't. Do we miss the beard?
What, Michael's beard?
Yeah, I'm not sure I do.
Oh, I think we've got it in a box over there somewhere, so we can get it if you want.
Yeah, donate it to science. So yeah, Michael's got a few days off. It'll be me and Paddy at Griffin Park tomorrow, but Michael will be back on deadline day. We've got lots lined up for you on Wednesday night. Adam Harvey, surely we still need a right back for cover. It's a joke if we don't sign one.
Yeah, well, I think that's right, personally.
Fair point. I mean,
I think it's too dangerous.
It's only one game. If Evo's injury had been more serious,
the other side to it as well. It's not just if he's injured or not. It's creating competition for somebody. Nobody's immune to that. Everybody needs competition, and I think Ivo Pinto needs somebody right behind him in competition for that place. And if he hasn't got it, I don't think it helps players.
No, well, I'm not Evo's biggest fan, to be honest. Anyway, because he's good going forward, but not too much of a final ball. defensively good but not brilliant. So I would have liked to have seen someone come in with the idea of them being competition. Because for me, I would be quite happy to see Grant Hanley take on the captain's armband, because I'd say he's the most vocal. But Evo's such a top guy.
He looks the most hardest of them all, isn't it?
You don't mess with Grant Hanley, do you? So this is a good point from Michael Bailey's beard again. Who owns the chair behind you?
I know.
They need to work on their Tipex graffiti skills.
Says
Editorial, that says.
says
But
editorial, yeah.
Facebook Live, for some reason, they've still not figured this out.
Yeah, how,
Reverses things. I guess it's sort of the...
that failed spell check, though.
yeah.
Editorial.
It's like the opposite of your eyes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like flips things. So,
It's a good job you haven't seen the back of some of the other chairs in this office. Else we wouldn't be allowed on.
so yeah, editorial, but I'm not sure who sits there. I think that's a hot desk, pretty much,
I
isn't
think you'll find is occasionally Terry Redhead's desk, the racing writer and man of many talents. If it's quite high up, it is.
Absolutely. yeah, that one's pumped right up, isn't it? Matthew Martin again. Jamal Lewis, do you think he is the club's best find this season?
Yep, I do.
Well, I suppose
I think it's fantastic.
It depends whether you include James Maddison in that, really, doesn't it? I mean, he'd played a few games back end of last season, already had a big reputation, but he hadn't done anything before this season, so Maddison would still take that for me. But yeah, I mean, we had some quotes in today's paper, didn't we, from Michael O'Neill? It looks pretty certain Jamal's going to be in his next Northern Ireland squad.
If you're Michael O'Neill, you don't take the Scotland squad, you get Jamal Lewis. I was far too impressed for my own good from him with him the other day against Chelsea. I thought he was tremendous. Although what the hell he was doing in that penalty area in the 90th minute, I don't know. But really, seriously, I think he's a very good player.
Absolutely.
Really, really
He
good.
could be worth a serious bit of dosh quite soon as well. So
Yeah.
What's interesting with that as well is, I mean, Northern Ireland play South Korea in a friendly in March. So as far as I know, playing in a friendly doesn't actually stop you from switching nations. I mean, and of course he was born in England. He qualified to Northern Ireland for his mum, who was born in Belfast. So as much as Northern Ireland may want to do that, I think you have to be captain in a competitive game to prevent you from then switching.
We could, of
nations.
course, hold him down and just not let him go.
We'll see. But I mean, you've got James Maddison in the England under 21 camp. I'm sure he told Adi Boothroyd about him. And you've got Michael McGovern sitting at Norwich watching and seeing exactly how good Jamal is. So I'm
I know
sure.
who I'd be listening to.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, Adam Harvey. After what Farkas said on Watkins today, does he have a future at the club long term? We're going to come on to this, weren't we?
Yeah, I mean, he seemed to he had a pop at him recently. He seemed to have mellowed a bit today. Said Marley would work very hard in training.
Yeah,
They've
said
had
he'd
a
been
good chat, didn't he? I don't know. It depends how happy he can make Marley Watkins.
Yeah.
And that's the truth of it. If he's not a happy player, then it's no good for anyone. But if he seems to think there is a player there. Obviously, we haven't seen it really.
Well, his point was that Bristol City are chasing promotion, doing very well, high profile at the moment. If they want Marley, then there must be a player
Yeah,
there.
it's proof that there's something there. Yeah.
Lee Johnson had him at Barnsley. Okay, wasn't a great spell for Lee Johnson at Barnsley, but he knows what Marley can do. There is a player in there somewhere, but sometimes you get a feeling quite early on that it's just that they just don't quite fit.
Yeah.
So whether they can work that with Marley, I don't know. Funnily enough, Brentford away in the Cup, which Norwich won 3-1 thanks to a couple of goals from Mario Vrancic and someone else who I can't remember.
Well, it would be someone else, but I can't remember.
But I will check before tomorrow. Marley played up front that night as the lead striker in sort of Jamie Vardy mould. You know, he's got using the pace, playing
Without
on the
the back.
last shoulder. So not the way Nelson Oliveira plays, really.
No.
So he's not had many opportunities to play like that. But I was at Burton after Christmas. He was very poor, as him and James Husband on the left that day were really poor in a very difficult game, very windy, horrible conditions at Burton, and you know what it's like. It's like playing a non-league team.
Yeah.
Isn't it? They just kick and rush. So
Yeah.
it wasn't the best of games to judge someone on finally, but he's going to have to play a lot better than that if he's going to have a big future.
I suppose half the battle is getting the attitude and the emotional side of it right. Though I'm not trying to be too philosophical about this, but if there are sort of issues of him being settled and that sort of thing, well, you know, work on that, and then I think the better footballer comes out.
Yeah.
It can't be very easy if you're not a happy bunny to go out and play really well. So, I
It's
don't
only
know.
human, isn't it? So-
Yeah, I don't know. So.
Okay, just a few more questions, and then we better wrap it up. And
Got my cats to feed again.
absolutely, let's not make your cats
No, don't.
cult heroes online. Become like
They are cult heroes.
You've probably never listened to the Adam Buxton podcast, have you?
Occasionally, yeah, I have actually. My cat's the dog's bits. So.
His dog is more famous than him because he put a video of it on YouTube.
My cat's more famous than me. They've got the picture on the side of my mug. I haven't.
Where was the other one I was going to read? Craig Brown again. Marcus Edwards came to the club injured. What's the point in bringing in a player who's not even ready to play? Well, it was just a back knock. I don't think there was anything serious. He's trained all this week, so it's just a case of Daniel doesn't feel he's quite up to speed yet. I don't think he'll be on the bench tomorrow, but I don't think he'll be too far away.
I think it's a loan as well.
It is a loan, and Daniel's stressed.
It's not too terrible when he's got a bit of a knock. If he signs some, although there are a few players nowadays get signed with knocks. I always find it odd how they get through the medicals, but there you go.
Yeah, Daniel pointed out today, it's a loan. There's not too much risk there for Norwich. If it doesn't work out, it's all on Marcus Edwards there. They're going to try and help, and they're going to try and develop.
I think he's a bit of a bonus player, isn't he?
Exactly. If he comes off, then all good.
If he goes, if he doesn't play, so be it.
We'll see. Barry back. Vrancic is not a number 10. Well, recently we've seen him playing well in a deeper role alongside Alex Tetty, but I think long term, certainly if Maddison was to leave, I think we'd see him playing as number 10 occasionally.
I think there's merit in that. I'm not sure he is.
He can pick a pass, though, can't he?
Yeah, most of them can. Should be able to.
Okay. Right, I think that's pretty much it. I think we've covered the rest of these pretty much. So, Brentford tomorrow, Chris. Are you feeling confident?
No. I think Brentford are going to be too good for them. I'm awful at predicting. I always say I can't tip water out of a bucket. I'm just not very good at predicting. So if I say it's the usual story. If I say that Brentford are going to win, Norwich supporters should be absolutely delighted. But it's going to be really hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tough on a game.
I hate going to Brentford. I used to hate going to Brentford.
Rubbish press box.
Rubbish press box. Horrible. No, I can't say it's horrible people. I just think I just didn't enjoy going there.
There's a pub in each corner of the ground, isn't there?
I don't care.
Outside. Well,
I just found it an unfriendly place. Not nice at all. So, I'd love to see Norwich do them.
Okay. Well, I think it'll be tough. I'd take a point if you offered it to me.
We'll go for the point.
What we've got coming up after that is Middlesbrough at home, Derby away.
Middlesbrough at home, I always thought Middlesbrough were the most boring fixture. I don't know what it is.
It's not going to be any more exciting now Tony Pulis is in charge, are they? But of course that's Johnny Howson coming back to Carrow Road, so I'm sure we'll be reliving that Nottingham Forest goal plenty. Just a few more comments to finish off with. Matthew Cushion, sometimes it just doesn't work out at a club for a player. Watkins doesn't fit in here, so if we can ship him out for a good fee and bring in a right back, it's win-win. Fair enough?
I think that sounds very logical, Matthew. Yeah, and it is, isn't it? But, depends what their plans are.
And finally, Neil Austin, Michael's beard and Chris's cats. Which seems a good place to finish.
I'm not shaving my cats.
Not even for CSF?
No one.
I was at the CSF event when Michael got offered, I think it was £500 to shave his head as well.
Yes, I heard that, and frankly, you'd have to add a naught for me to that.
Absolutely.
Mind you, I've got better hair than Michael, but there you go.
Yeah, I wouldn't have liked to. I wouldn't have liked to have been in his shoes at that moment.
I wouldn't want to have been like with the scissors. No.
Okay, right. We'll wrap it up there then. Thanks, Chris.
No worries.
Me and Paddy will be at Griffin Park tomorrow. We'll have we'll have as much as we can manage to bring you with two of us, and we'll have team news for you before the game and all the usual stuff, videos on the PinkUn YouTube channel as well. And there's 3 of them up there already from today's press conference to get your teeth into to prepare yourself for the game. So we'll catch up with you the other side of Brentford.
Safe journey.